Today, we are going over the top 10 abandoned places in Illinois. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of abandoned places in Illinois, so make sure you like if you want to see a part 2. Today, the list is going to start off easy, and the spots are going to get cooler and cooler as the list goes on, so make sure you stay until the end. I must say this for legal reasons, but I do not recommend going to any of these places. Trespassing is illegal, and you can be punished to the full extent of the law. With that being said, the first spot on our list is the Gem Theater in Cairo. The original Gem Theater opened on October 10, 1910. This incarnation of the Gem was destroyed by a fire in 1929, and a new theater was built in its shell at a cost of $200,000. The Gem was destroyed by another fire that started in one of the dressing rooms on February 27, 1934. It was then rebuilt as an Art Deco theater and reopened in 1936. In 1978, the Gem closed for good, and the lobby was turned into retail space. In 1995, the building was donated to the city, who planned on reopening as a movie theater and a cultural arts center. In 2000, the city of Cairo received a $436,000 federal grant from the Commerce Department's Economic Development Administration, and $231,000 of it was to go to the redevelopment of Gem Theater. However, the restoration of the theater was put on hold in the mid-2000s, and it is unclear whether it will ever be restored. Barber Colman Factory in Rockford. The abandoned 65-acre Barber Colman Factory complex is a sprawling 795,000 square foot facility. At the age of 17, Howard D. Colman invented a warp drawing machine, which is used to automate the weaving of cotton into patterns. The local lumberman, W.A. Barber, invested $100 so that Colman could transform his wooden prototype into iron and steel. With that initial investment, the Barber Colman Company was founded. In 1894, the prodigious inventor was granted his first patent for an instrument that measured the flow of milk. This early success, along with 149 patents, eventually granted to Colman over the years. This early success, along with the 149 patents eventually granted to Colman over the years, were key in building Barber Colman. Colman, however, was quite a humble man and often attributed his inventions to his financial backer, Barber. Photographs of Colman were so rare that employees would pass him by completely oblivious as to who he was. The Barber Colman factory constructed its first building on the banks of the Rock River and was operational by 1902. By 1916, the company owned the 2 city blocks and built even more structures to keep pace with market demand. In 1980, the Barber Colman Company decided to relocate their headquarters just north of Rockford to its current location. The Reed Chatwood Textile Company purchased the building in 1984 and held operations there for a few years. Reed Chatwood did not find the same level of success that Barber Colman enjoyed at the location and ceased operations in 1996. In 2002, the city of Rockford purchased the abandoned property for $775,000 for redevelopment. The city has shown the property to several potential investors, but so far nothing of substance has materialized. Wyman Gordon Powerplant in Harvey. In 1910, seasoned manufacturing veterans F.A. Inglis and Charles C. Shepard partnered to create the Inglis-Shepard Forging Company. Inglis took up the mantle of president and treasurer, while Shepard acted as vice president. The company produced a wide range of parts for the burgeoning automobile industry and railroad companies. As the world delved into chaos during the war to end all wars, industrial manufacturers across the United States were pushed to the limits of their operating capacities to great profit. The Roaring Twenties were a boom for the steel industry. The automobile, which had been a luxury item for the previous decade, now entered the American mainstream. Skyscrapers demanded strong metal frameworks to withstand environmental punishment. New massive machines such as massive cranes and earth movers were needed to move materials. The Wyman Gordon Company claims to have produced more single parts for the war effort than any of its entirety of its competitors in the industry. Innovation in the aeronautics industry drove Wyman Gordon business for the next few decades. In the 1980s, however, declining defense expenditures, sagging commercial airline development, and international competition put manufacturers like Wyman Gordon into commercial distress. In order to stay operational, Wyman Gordon decided to shutter the Ingalls-Shepard division in Harvey. The announcement proved devastating as the community had already endured the recent closing of 3 other major manufacturing employers. The company tried in vain to sell the 780,000 square foot facility over 6 months, but was unable to find a buyer. Since then, the building has been left to rot, being overtaken by nature. Prairie Observatory in Oakland. The Prairie Observatory first opened in the 1960s and closed in the early 1980s. The observatory was once a place for astronomers from the University of Illinois to view the night sky far from the bright lights. Today, the building is covered with graffiti and overgrown vines. Damen silos in Chicago. This dilapidated landscape was once a working system of interlocking grain elevators. In 1977, an explosion left the processing factory unusable. It was abandoned, but the many tunnels snaking throughout the sprawling property were never sealed. The tunnels and silos have since become canvases for graffiti artists. Certain silos can still be accessed through basement tunnels. The dark passageways take you inside the enormous funnel bases, which are adorned with guide ropes that lead to questionably dangerous ladders to the top. The view from the top provides a view of Chicago's skyline like no other. St. Boniface Catholic Church in Chicago. St. Boniface Church, organized in 1864 from territory that had belonged to the German parish of St. Joseph, consisted of German-speaking Bavaria and Germany immigrants. Owing to enrollment declines and financial considerations, St. Boniface School closed in 1983 when it merged with St. Stanislaus Kostka. After running years of deficits, the Archdiocese of Chicago ordered 28 parishes to close on June 3, 1990, including St. Boniface. Southern Medical Center in Cairo. The hospital was originally opened in 1958 as St. Mary's Hospital. In 1986, the hospital was forced to close its doors, and the town has been without a hospital ever since. When it closed in the mid-1980s, the buildings were poorly secured. EPA crews found crumbling asbestos piping and floor surfaces containing asbestos, containers of unidentified chemicals, and medical equipment containing small amounts of mercury. Medications and medical records were scattered among debris found in the building. Since that time, a medical office across the street has been demolished, as well as a part of the hospital which was used for storing medical waste. Jerusalem Lodge No. 90, Masonic Temple in Aurora. The Jerusalem Temple Lodge No. 90 Masonic body was formed in October 1850 and initially met in a temporary location in a downtown office building. The first worshipful master was Benjamin Franklin Hall. In 1866, the Masonic relocated to Fox Street and then to Broadway Street in 1910, each time moving because of a lack of space. But the Broadway location was also quite small. With the lodge boasting nearly 1,000 members, a fundraiser was held by the Aurora Masonic Alliance, a group of 10 Masonic organizations, and in just a week, $250,000 was committed for a new building. Construction began in 1921, and the new 6-story temple opened on March 10, 1924. It was designed by William Q. Bendis in the neoclassical architectural style. Inside were 2 lodge rooms that could each seat over 200 people. 2 of the 5-story balconied rooms, a lodge room, and a formal ballroom were never finished. After the Masons sold the lodge in the 1980s, the building was reused as the Lincoln Manor, a banquet facility, but it closed in 2006. Joliet Correctional Center in Joliet. Opened in 1858, just 60 years after the incorporation of the city of Joliet, the Illinois State Penitentiary was designed by Chicago architect W.W. Boynton, who also designed the Chicago Water Tower. The use of Joliet limestone was a trademark of Boynton's designs, and this locally quarried stone was used to erect structures all around the country. The prison in Joliet replaced the first state penitentiary in Alton, built on a bluff overlooking the Mississippi River in 1831. The privately managed prison quickly degraded into a state of horrendous conditions. By 1878, the prison was filled well over capacity with nearly 2,000 inmates. Reports of unsanitary and dangerous conditions emerged, and by 1905, calls for the closure of the old prison were made. The 1926 construction of Stateville Penitentiary, in what is now Crest Hill, was intended to close the prison, but it continued to house offenders until 2002, when it was finally closed by Governor George Ryan as a budgetary measure. This prison is best known today for its most popular film, The Blues Brothers. Since then, the prison has made a number of appearances in films and television. Now before we hit number 1, a lot of you guys ask me how I find all these abandoned places. And truthfully, I find all these places right on the internet. That's why in today's video, I am promoting NordVPN. NordVPN is essential to online life without limits. By shielding IP addresses, NordVPN protects users' privacy in virtual location, meaning you can see secret online websites that are only visible to specific IP addresses. The best part is that NordVPN offers a 30-day money-back guarantee for first-time buyers. You will be refunded the full amount if you are not happy with the service. If you guys would like to learn how to find abandoned places without the internet's limits, then I recommend NordVPN. It will be the first link in the description. Ken Norman's abandoned mansion in Homewood. The mansion was once home to Ken Norman, a former basketball player for the Los Angeles Clippers. In its prime, it boasted an indoor pool, a basketball court, and gorgeous modern finishes. The elaborate abode was built around the old house that already stood on the property. Norman had his builders construct around the original structure instead of tearing it down, allowing the new mansion to consume the existing house. The old house's fireplace still stands in the center of the mansion. Now abandoned, the mansion merely hints at its former glory. It sits along the edge of a public road, empty and being overgrown by nature. So guys, these are the top 10 abandoned places in Illinois. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see a part 2. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Peace.